Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as usual, let's go over the market. Let's go over what happened, what we can, essentially foresee happening from here and all that good stuff as per usual. And of course, as usual, if you guys enjoyed the video, find it useful, informative, helpful, whatever, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. And again, excuse me, none of this is financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research. Excuse me. All right, so Tesla, end of the day, down about just over 2% compared to the market. Tesla performing in line or slightly better than the market, right? Which is nice to see, of course, right? I mean, arguably by this percentage, Tesla should be down slightly more, but, you know, maybe slightly overperforming, but nothing too absolutely out of the ordinary. So all that being said and done, Tesla, of course, closing just shy of $129. So what does this all mean? Is this the top signal for Tesla? Is Tesla ready to fall? Is it all over? Is this all we get? And instead it's time to go back down to 100, maybe even lower? That's the question we're going to try to figure out. So the question is there's a few possibilities here, and I'll explain to you what each of them are, at least from what I personally see, of course. I could be completely wrong, right? Naturally, there's many different ways to look at the market and charts and stuff like that, which is why it's not as easy as just being like, yeah, this is going to happen. You can go all in on options and you can make unlimited amount of money, right? It's not that easy. So let's try to figure out the probabilities and what essentially triggers each, I guess, scenario to play out. So first and foremost, Tesla, you can see on the 1 hour chart, which is a good way to determine what's happening here at the very moment, is essentially in this little upward channel that we can see right here. Right, which makes a lot of sense. The lines are parallel and everything like that, right? Which, it looks like a pretty nice looking upward channel. So we did come up this morning to about 137, which is extremely close to my 140 target that I had, right? Roughly in the 140s, very close to it. So you can argue that it hit-ish. But I personally wouldn't be surprised if we actually do come up to like literally 140, or at least maybe slightly higher, or even back up to this rough same level that we just had this morning. So let me explain. So first and foremost, until we break out of the channel to the downside, Tesla's looking quite good for me regardless, right? That's number one. Number two, if we do break out of this channel, then that's when things can, potentially get a little bit ugly and we can potentially start falling down back, to maybe even as low as 110 or something like that to gap fill. However, the thing that I personally see happening here that I'm personally excited about from a bullish perspective is a potential cup and handle forming. As you can see, we have the cup right here that just formed this morning. And now there's a decent chance that we're going to be forming the handle. So let me go ahead and remove this channel here. Also, there's just a little too many lines here. Actually, by the way, I also added an extra line here. So the blue and the yellow lines. The yellow line is one I've always had, right? Which is one way you can look at it. But another perspective you can have is the downward channel all the way up here on the daily, right? You can easily make an argument that this is the downward channel that we today technically got resisted at and smacked down below and stayed below. So you can technically, have two different perspectives on this in terms of what is the true downward momentum or downward channel that we are in. Is it the blue? Is it the yellow? Is it both? I like to look at it as both. Until we clear both of them, I'm still not fully, flipped to being bullish, right? I'm still very kind of, hesitant, I guess, if that makes sense. But that's just something else I thought I'd mention very quickly because I did add that, I think like last night or something like that. My goodness. Anyways, so as I was saying earlier, what I personally foresee happening that I'm personally somewhat excited about actually is a potential cup and handle. This is a pretty textbook looking cup and handle. And now, like I said, once you form the cup, which is here, there's a decent chance that what's happening as of right now is essentially going to be the handle. What is the handle? It's essentially a bull flag. You can also argue that it's a bull flag, right? That's being formed right here, right now. So that's kind of what I personally foresee coming. And this, of course, is a bullish pattern. And the way you determine how far you can potentially go from here is you take I guess essentially like the top of the cup, right? The neckline, if you will, which is pretty much this 137 level. And you go all the way from peak to trough. So in this case, from the top of this, which is 137, to roughly where the bottom of the cup is, which is pretty much right around this kind of 102 level-ish. And then you measure it from wherever it breaks out of on the handle. So let's say we break out of it from somewhere around this 124 level down here. Just as a rough example, again, it could be, who knows where it actually will be, right? But this will determine that potentially Tesla can arguably go up to even as high as almost 160. That's just an example. Again, very rough way to determine, the target of a cup and handle, but that's just one example. But nonetheless, this does seem to have the formation of a cup and handle being formed, which of course is a bullish pattern. So that is something I will personally be looking out for. Right now, let me quickly bring back this right here. Beautiful. So that is something I'll personally be eyeballing and looking out for to actually play out. Where essentially today, is the start and the formation of the handle, or in other words, the potential of bull flag, which is going to be, like I said, something along the lines of, again, it's just started, so it's hard to tell exactly how it'll form, but it could be something like this, for instance, these blue lines right here that I just drew, right? Something like that. Again, we'll get a better idea as it happens. Maybe it won't even happen. Who honestly knows? But that's just one example. And that's the bullish side. The bearish side is the fact that if we don't ever cross 137, obviously our upside is quite limited, right? We're not going to go much higher than 137, right? That is the key level that bulls and bears are both looking out for, because if it breaks to the upside, fantastic. Bulls are in play. If it doesn't, and if we get resisted again, or we just simply cannot break above this 137 to 140 level, especially considering the yellow line is right here as well, which was also going to be acting as a resistance, the bears are still very much in play as well to bring this down to at least 100 once again. That is also extremely, something very well in play and something to absolutely consider. So those are the main scenarios I am personally eyeballing as of right now. And that is kind of what I am seeing as of today. The RSI on the 1 hour is still looking pretty good. Honestly, it's still looking pretty good. This, move today did make a higher high in the RSI. The RSI doesn't look like it's setting up any bearish divergences just yet. So yeah, the RSI is not looking too bad on the 1 hour, which is a slightly shorter time frame, dictating potentially the rest of, this week and maybe a bit of next week's movement or something like that, right? The daily is still looking pretty decent overall, right? Still making higher highs, right? Still looking pretty good. Nothing, too alarming for really either side. I would definitely say it's more bullish than bearish, but, definitely nothing bearish about this RSI as of right now. So I will personally say that the bulls definitely have a good shot here to try and finally end this downtrend, which again, I want to make it very clear. This medium-term downtrend that we are in is not ended until either 140 breaks and or we break above this yellow line. If both of these things can happen, we go above 140, that can trigger the ability to actually break above this yellow line, and we do break above the yellow line, and most importantly, hold above it, very important. That is gonna be, in my opinion, a signal that this medium-term downtrend is officially over, and that the bulls are back in action. Which again, even if that were to happen, even if we come down here, make this little bull flag cup and handle thing, come up, so let's say all the way up here, and then whatever. That doesn't mean it's all rosy from here. Like I said yesterday, this also could still very much mean that we come back down somewhere around here to retest, which would be a pretty decent drop, let's say, retest, hopefully successfully, and then rally from there. That is also a possibility. So keep in mind that even if we break above, it doesn't mean that we just rally from here on out and we're all good to go. There is still going to be pain regardless of where the market is going. You're going to have downturns and upturns, right? That's just how the market works. But that would signal that the overall, man, these kids are just yelling as if it's their whole condo. Anyway, yeah, but that would essentially signal that this overall medium downtrend is essentially more or less over, and that we can finally resume an overall uptrend, which is going to be very, very good to see for bulls, of course, not so much for the bears. But again, until this happens, that is something that is not in play at all. So don't even consider it until those scenarios finally come to fruition. But that is essentially what I'm seeing, guys. You can see decent volume today on a red day as well, right? Of course, with the market being down as much as it is. My goodness, dude. With the market down as much as it is, Tesla doing pretty well overall, so nothing too shabby about that. You can see the Bollinger Band is starting to converge and get tighter slowly here, which will be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. It'll most likely keep getting tighter until earnings. But yeah, all that being said and done, guys, let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, suggestions, whatever, let me know down below. Thanks so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next update. Peace.